Okay, here we go. There is so much to talk about. I'm going to talk more about Francisco Perez de la Chica, my fourth great grandfather, and his family, including his wife, Maria Prisca. And here is a depiction of a Spanish muleteer. It could look like him. I don't know. I like to think that it does. He's kind of a ruffian with a high intellect. You have to be in his occupation as a muleteer. Oh my goodness, there's so much we're going to learn about Francisco. And I hope at the end of this video that you will feel that you know him a lot better. And there's more to come, let me tell you. So, wow, where to start? First of all, did you know out of your fourth great grandparents, there are 64 pairs? There are 64 husband and wives, whether they're married or not, great fourth great grandparents. So why am I selecting just Francisco and Maria Prisca? Well, because he's our namesake. This is where Perez Chica comes from, and he seems like a pretty cool dude. So, I'm just as interested in all the rest of them, and I intend to spend some time about them. But God, there's so much information that has surfaced on this guy. So let's dive in, shall we? The first thing I want to share with you all is this document that one of the genealogists that we hired located about him. And I know it's a little fuzzy, it's a kind of small print, but this is actually a lawsuit that Francisco had filed while he was in a little town called Real de Catorce. I rolled those R's pretty good on that try. Real de Catorce is located in the now state of San Luis Potosi. And I visited Real probably a couple years ago because this is a place that's considered a ghost town now. Francisco was there in the year 1786. And understanding he was born in 1750, he was only, 32 years old by this time and was already addressed by the polite name of Don Francisco. So he had already established himself by the time he was there at such a young age. Not married, single. The reason behind this lawsuit was he had rented or reserved they call it a cuarton, so a group of seats at the local bull ring. And I guess he was stiffed out of it to the point to where he hired, I don't know, we call them lawyers, but back then there's a term for it, and it's written in here, but it's too many details. So here is his name, Don Francisco Perez de la Chica, and let's see if I can find her name. It's actually a female he filed this against. He hired Jose Maria Estrada, and this document here is to state that he can't find Francisco now. He wants to provide him with the results of this lawsuit, and he can't do that because of the nature of Francisco's occupation. He's on the road. He might have been in Wemas. If you remember, his future wife, Maria Prisca, was widowed by this time. So maybe he met her and was, what was her name? I remember her last name, but it's difficult for me to say. Urrieta. Urrieta. I don't recall her first name, and I don't know what was the outcome. Maybe we can find the secondary document, the follow-up to this. That would be great, wouldn't it? Time to hire another genealogist. Okay. So I mentioned that I was there. I've been to a lot of places. I've been to Calvillo many times because I know this is the hub. This is the root. This is where our roots belong with the name Perez Chica. I've been to places, pardon me, like Mexico City because I know he was there. I've been to Puebla. I had to come here because I have this documentation of him. And I know that this place existed. This place, they call a ghost town now, was a brand new establishment. They had just found this vein of silver. In fact, they nicknamed it the Purse of God, La Bolsa del Dios. So there's really two parts to Real. There's the ghost town, which is up in the hills where the silver mines were, and this beautiful town below. The town below was just getting started when he was there. In fact, the main church didn't even exist during the year that Francisco was there. So it was up and coming. But this whole place was abandoned. After the silver ran out, so did the people. It was rediscovered, and now it has become a Mexican national tourist destination. When I was there, I was the only one that spoke English. But if you ever have the chance, you need to go. In fact, I'm going to run a little video clip showing you all about Real de Catorce. All right? I hired a horse. I hired a guide. This man who goes there every day, weather permitted, knows it like the back of his hand. And I understand. There's some people that I understand their Spanish a lot better than others. And fortunately, I was able to get the gist of everything he was talking about, because there was so much history up in those hills. So let's roll the clip. I can just imagine, I can just visualize how it used to look back in the day. This is the horse stables. But the journey back was also incredible, with the views amazing. If you ever have a vacation coming up and you're looking for a place to go, especially if you speak Spanish, I highly recommend Real de Catorce. I wanted to express the locations, the journey that this family took, since, as a muleteer, he was all over Mexico. So I created a little video clip for you all to help along. So here we go. Mexico, as you know it. I'm assuming I don't have a year. I'd like to find when he actually landed in Veracruz. Back in those days, Veracruz was the only jumping on spot coming from Spain. From Veracruz, the next time we find him, you have seen in Real de Catorce. That was in the year 1786. During this time, if you think about history in the United States, I don't even think George Washington was appointed president yet. I think it was 1789. So, man, this really takes us back. And during this time, in Güemes, if you recall from the previous video, Maria Prisca was married, had 2 children, and was widowed. So maybe he cannot be located by his lawyer because he's wooing Maria Prisca. Güemes, by the way, is now considered Ciudad Victoria. So Francisco and Maria Prisca meet in Güemes, and if you remember, she was born and raised in Mexico City. So they got married in 1789. From that point, the travel begins again. I don't know what she did with her 2 children, whether they traveled with her or they were left in Mexico City or Güemes. Who knows? But the Perez de la Chica family begins. From the first two that were born, Francisco Jr. and Francisca, they were born in Rio Verde in San Luis Potosi. So San Luis Potosi, I was here. I rented a car and drove to Real de Catorce, 4-hour drive. So from this point to there, it's quite a long drive. The next to be born was Cayetano, the first Cayetano. He died at a young age, at 6 years old. He was born in Matehuala, about a half hour from Real de Catorce. After Cayetano, the seventh item on this map is Miguel Antonio. He was born in Teocatiche. Now, you notice this here is Aguascalientes, so they are making their treks around the future hub of Calvillo. 1794, Miguel Antonio was born, died shortly after. The two most famous Perros Chicas, Jose Maria and Cayetano, the second Cayetano, were born in Nochislan, Jalisco, a lot closer to Aguascalientes and actually a lot closer to Calvillo, which is on this side of that state. Okay, who's next? I kind of forgot what was going on here when I created this. Okay, so now we land in what's called Huejucar. Again, this is the state of Aguascalientes. Did not exist back then. It was all Jalisco and Zacatecas. It just went back and forth as far as ownership. Huejucar is the original name of Calvillo. Currently, Calvillo sits in the county of Huejucar, but back then that was the name of the city. And this is where Francisco Jr. gets married in 1809. Francisco Sr. was there for the event. Once Francisco Jr.'s first child was baptized in Calvillo, Francisco Sr. was not present. So off he went, and this is where the family remains. Francisco Sr. later moves to around Guadalajara. Francisca, unfortunately, passed before that happened. Now, what gets interesting is there's about a 10-year period from the time Francisco gets married and the next time he pops up in history. And that's in a place at this location called Benjamo. Benjamo is in the current state of Guanajuato, and Benjamo is where Francisco Perez de la Chica is arrested. He was arrested by the Spaniard troops. If you remember history, in 1810 is when the revolution began against Spain. Francisco being Spaniard, he was arrested by the Spaniards. Was he a traitor? Was he a victim of circumstances? Stay tuned to the next video. Hope you enjoyed this one, folks, because it was a lot of work. But take care, and we'll talk to you then.